I LARP, therefore I am. So many good things in my life I have LARPed my way into. There's 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that I'm going to get into. In 2026, there's nothing more scary than being viewed as a LARPer, as a poser. And a lot of the times your fear of being viewed as performative is the thing that leads you into the most heinous of all LARPs. The truth is that we're all LARPing in one way or another. The fear of LARPing could lead us to a life where we don't chase any of our dreams, we don't achieve any of the things we want to achieve, and we become a hollow, fake version of ourselves. There are a lot of people pretending out there. A lot of people at the gym like the idea of being a gym bro more than they actually like lifting. I saw a guy the other day at the gym and he had, a cool gym bag, a shaker bottle, wrist straps, a waist belt, all the gear you would need to be viewed as a professional weightlifter. And this guy's form was so atrocious that I actually was getting anxiety watching him because I thought he might get hurt. That is bad LARPing. But I want to push back a little bit against this negativity. There's such a stigma around being fake, around being viewed as performative. We try so hard to avoid judgment that we become nothing. We become so nonchalant that we can't even learn anything. In my experience in life, identities only shift when we act in ways that we don't naturally or instinctively want to. You aren't going to become a different person if you keep on waiting on external things to change. The first way that I'm LARPing is happening right now as we speak with this channel. I decided a few months ago, after years of putting off starting a YouTube channel, after coming up with all the excuses, I need to get better at production, I need to have a more interesting life experience so I have something to say, I need to get funnier. But the reality is I'm not going to be a YouTuber until I start making YouTube videos. And so now I am LARPing YouTube. I'm going to do this until it becomes who I am. LARPing is the modern day poser, which in 2002 was the ultimate sin. Putting together an image on the surface while doing none of the work to actually become the thing is annoying. That naturally gives us this gut reaction of like, ugh. If we don't look at the slang term, instead we look at what LARPing actually is. It's just live action role playing. Somebody who has LARPed for 400 hours is going to be better at wielding a sword than I am. They've at least gotten the reps. You got to put on the armor. You got to go out into the field with all of your local dweebs and swing swords at each other. That's awesome. Because even if you are truly just following your hobbies or your interests or your passions, somebody's going to shit on you. If you've got homies and you're from a small town, everybody's going to make sure that you stay super boring if they can help it. That is something that friends tend to do. I don't know why. And that is when you have to go against your current identity. Right now, you identify with this person that you are. But the reality is you can become something else. When we get out of our own comfort zone, we start to think about all the people that are going to make fun of us. That discomfort actually can be a compass. Seth Godin, one of my favorite authors, talks about imposter syndrome. And he says, I feel like an imposter, at least when I'm doing my best work. My best work involves doing things that I've never done before. When we embrace imposter syndrome, when we embrace LARPing, instead of working to make it disappear, we choose the productive way forward. Anytime you want to innovate, it's going to involve some degree of LARPing. You're going to have to pretend and play outside of whoever you currently think you are. Another thing I've had to LARP my way into, and this one's going to sound dumb. This is such like bro-y bullshit, I'm aware. But pull-ups. I was never great at pull-ups growing up. I got a big ass, dude. I'm carrying around a fucking dump truck everywhere I go. This is the cross that I was born to bear. I had friends in high school that were really good at pull-ups, but they were like smaller guys with small legs. So I'm like, well, you're lifting half the weight. I got to lift this fucking mahogany shelf up with me. This pull-up shit isn't going to be easy. And then in college, I had a really bad shoulder injury. And at that point, I was like, oh, it's donezo for me. I'm never going to be someone that can do pull-ups. And I don't know when it happened, but I woke up one day and was like, I have this story in my head about my ability to do pull-ups. What if that wasn't true? What if I stopped listening to that? I have this shoulder injury. I've got this dump truck ass that I've been cursed with. What if instead of using those things as excuses, I just treated myself as a blank slate? I just started doing pull-ups before I did any other exercise. I didn't care if I got 2. I didn't care if I got 1. I just did them at the start of every single exercise. And after about a year and a half, all of a sudden I started to get better at pull-ups. and now I can bust out a couple sets of 10. Dump truck ass and a beat shoulder. I tore all the ligaments in my AC joint. Those two things determined in my mind for years, without even realizing the pattern. I was like, I can't do pull-ups. I had to LARP. I had to wake up one day and tell myself, nah, you know what? Fuck that. And like any good LARPer would do, I went to the gym in my chainmail, I wore the sigil of my house, and I LARPed at the pull-up bar. We have these limiting beliefs. The problem with being so afraid of being viewed as performative is that you end up not getting good at anything. I even have it in the back of my head as a full-time professional photographer. When I go out of the house with a point and shoot camera, just because they're trending right now, I'm always worried that people think I'm LARPing. I know I'm not LARPing, but I'm like, oh, these people probably think I just saw a fucking Pinterest board and now I bought this $2,000 point and shoot camera. They don't even know how saucy I am with this thing. And that's just insecurity. You know, that's a different conversation. Think about how many stories you tell yourself daily about who you are. You're not funny, or you might not be funny. I actually have no advice for that, but it's like, well, you're not really good at talking to strangers. You hurt your ankle in 7th grade, so you don't really run. You're not good at running. Try to think about what stories you might be telling yourself, and then pick a small action that goes against that narrative purely because of the fact that it goes against that narrative. And I've always wanted to do YouTube, but I always kind of quit or I overthink it, and then I let that become my identity. I'm always like, well, I'm a guy that overthinks this and doesn't do it. So I'm making these videos to build evidence that I'm not that person anymore. It still feels unnatural. I'm still overthinking this shit constantly. I still feel like I'm awful at it. That's the beauty of LARPing. What is LARPing? It's imagination, it's play. There's no actual pressure around the true essence of LARPing. Those people don't actually think they're living in the Renaissance era. They're having fun playing as if they were a person that lived in that time. So whatever your dream is, if you dream of being a chef, start living as a chef would, no matter how dog shit your food tastes. I don't know what chefs do. Smell the fresh garlic cloves in your hand. Squeeze a lemon. Try to make tiramisu. I don't know. If you're showing up in that kitchen because you eventually want to be someone that knows how to cook, not you want other people to think you're this awesome, cool, cultured chef, you're going to wake up one day and not even realize how much your identity has changed. It's less about doing the thing perfectly. It's more about showing that you're someone that kind of does it. You keep showing up. Probably the biggest thing I've had to LARP my way into is my full-time professional career. I had this moment with videography and video editing. If I want to become a full-time video creator, I need to do this every day because that's what someone who does this would do. I LARPed my way into becoming a professional. I had no idea what I was doing the whole time. And the whole time I was doing it, I had this voice that like, oh, people think I'm pretending, or people think my videos suck, or like, this is never going to work. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not qualified for this. But I continued to LARP. And you can LARP too. There's these fantasy books that I love called the Stormlight Archive. There's these characters that become radiant. Becoming radiant is essentially like you gain access to this magic system. You become a superhero, basically. But the only way to become radiant, you have to speak these oaths out loud. And these greater gods accept your oath, or they deny your oath. And so the main character, Kaladin, the whole first book, struggling and, you know, he wants to die. Like, he's very depressed. And the first words you have to speak to get powers are life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. And there's characters in these books that know the words because they've read them in ancient texts, and they'll read them out loud, or they'll try to like performatively act as though, you know, the words are within them. And these gods will go,
these words are not accepted.
And these characters get pissed because they're like,
what the fuck? I said the words. Why don't I have magic superpowers now?
And it's because their identity wasn't actually shifting. They were just intellectually speaking this thing. The only time these characters get their powers is when they actually embody the message, when the words come to them naturally. Kaladin wanted to die the entire first book, but he kept on living, surviving depression and slavery and imprisonment. He keeps showing up against his own will. Like, he doesn't want to be there. His brain tells him he wants to die, but he keeps showing up. And so when he speaks those words, he becomes radiant. In the modern sense of the word LARP, You can't LARP your way into anything because it's a shallow pursuit. It's performative. But to truly LARP, the true essence of LARPing, which is role-playing and imagination and showing up to a thing, immersing yourself in a thing, you do that long enough and your identity will shift. I grew up making videos. I went to a school 9 hours away from my hometown. I didn't know anybody, so I got really insecure about making videos. So I shoved all of my creativity down because I didn't want to get judged. A couple people on my lacrosse team thought I was a freaking queer for making YouTube videos. So I stuffed all that down. And the process of finding the ability to make videos again required me to make them in spite of the fact that I didn't really want to or that I was afraid of doing it. I just had to start making videos again. And it took a lot of time, but I literally LARPed my way out of that dormant, sad, anxiety-ridden, insecure kid who had hidden away his creativity into someone who has a full-time career in this world and gets to make a lot of videos that he's passionate about. It required me to act before actually believing it, before anybody else believed in it. So many of us think our personality is this ingrained thing that we were born with. The word persona is the Latin word for a theatrical mask. Your personality is, in a lot of ways, an actor's mask. It is a performance you're putting on. And in that sense, LARPing is one of the most powerful things we can do. You're LARPing every day, whether you realize it or not. You don't have to permanently be whatever you are right now. I'm always trying to see what I can change. You become a brave person by acting brave before you are. Courage is being afraid and doing it anyways. In the same way, authenticity is built on LARPing before you feel as though you are truly that person. It's good that we're calling out the fakes. Everything has an equal and opposite reaction. And this insistence on everything being performative. Oh, you're reading a book in public, you're performative. You have a camera around your neck, you're performative. You're journaling, that's so performative. But the reality is just being this nonchalant nothing nobody is just as performative. That's maybe even more of a LARP if you're out there acting nonchalant, because within you is a goofy little kid that used to not care about being cool in the judgment of the world. You're just suppressing little bro. You're just keeping little bro locked away in a cage. Your nonchalance is the true LARP because you're just someone that's burying your own dreams. Everybody's LARPing to some extent, so let's just do it in a productive way. I don't fucking know. I LARP, therefore I am. That's all I got. I love you. Thanks for listening. Godspeed.